So what can you take off of your plate? And every time I say this to clients, I always, without fail, get pushback on this because we feel like everything that we do is so important. And there is nothing that we can take off our plate, and everything will crumble and fall apart if I don't do this, or if I don't do that, or if I'm not the one taking care of that, then it's just going to be the end of the world. I'm here to tell you that it's actually not. You are listening to the Beyond the Classroom podcast, a podcast for burnt out teachers who know something's gotta give. After teaching for 14 years and feeling completely burned out for way too long, in May of 2022, I made a big decision and left the classroom. I now help burnt out teachers like you take back balance and joy so you can wake up every day loving your life. In this podcast, we'll explore who you are beyond the classroom, whether you're considering leaving or wanting to make changes so you can fall in love with teaching again. Either way, I understand what it's like to be living a life that looks fun and cute on the outside. You know, summer's off, playing all day, off at 2 o'clock every day, but actually feels miserable and draining. I'm your host and coach, Sandy Patterson, and I'm so excited to help you step into your fullest potential and believe in that potential to make an impact on the world, not just survive each day. Are you ready? Let's do this. Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Beyond the Classroom podcast. I am Sandy Patterson, your host and certified life and business coach. And as always, I am so happy that you are here today. It is Sunday as I'm recording this, and I love Sundays because I love it's like a fresh start to the week and like getting everything situated and ready for another awesome week ahead. So I hope you had a great weekend or a great day or a great week or a great morning. Whenever you're listening to this, I just hope you're doing great. Today, we're going to talk about something that I get asked about often as a life and business coach, and that is, how the heck do I work a full-time job while also building my business? It feels like I'm working 2 full-time jobs, and I know where I want to focus on, but it seems really hard. It seems like I'm juggling a lot of things. So essentially today, what we're going to do is we're going to create more time for you to focus on your business here, because most of the people that I work with are working, most of them, not all of them, but most of them are working to completely leave their teaching job or completely leave their 9-to-5 job. That's their ultimate goal. And they're working on building their business up. So keep that in mind here for this episode. But I also work with people who they don't have any intentions of leaving either or. They're content working both, and that's totally fine too. These tips are still going to help you regardless of where you're at in your journey. And I get asked this question a lot, I think, because as many of you know, 2 years ago, I left my teaching job. So I left my 9-to-5 job. But prior to that, probably about a year before that, I had started a business on the side. And I initially started that business. It was kind of just for fun. Like, it was a hobby, and it was kind of like, let me just try this and see if I can get this to work, to see if I can, to see if something could actually come of this. And so what I did is I started a freelance curriculum writing business. So I supported teacher authors in writing curriculum and building up their businesses. And it was wonderful. It was great. I loved doing it. And it ended up, I ended up finding out, oh, this can work. This can be the way that I could make leaving my full-time teaching job possible. And so about 3 months into that business building process, I was like, okay, let me get really serious about this, because let me see if I can actually start to tip the scales here to see if I can make this my full-time gig versus having to do both, having to teach full-time and then also work this business on the side, which of course there is going to be time where it does feel like you're working 2 full-time jobs or you're doing 2 full-time things, right? The goal, though, is to start to tip the scales to make one more than the other so that you can see the possibility. And I know as we jump into entrepreneurship too, you're essentially leaving behind consistency, right? Like there's no guarantee on anything. There's no, like when you run your business and it's your butt on the line, it's all you, and you're leaving behind that consistent paycheck deposited into your account every month. You're leaving behind all of that consistency. So it's scary, but you have to be able to go all in on the business side to be able to see if you can make it work. And it feels like there's a point right before it completely tips that it feels impossible. And it feels impossible because it feels, like I said, like you are working two full-time jobs. You're maintaining and sustaining at your 9-to-5 job, and then you're also working to build this business, ultimately to make that business your full-time job, or at least to understand and see the possibility in it and how great you can make it, how much money you can make. So then you feel comfortable leaving that 9-to-5. And I'll tell you this too. This is a little like side note here. You're never really going to feel comfortable. And the reason is because you're leaving behind that consistency. I know I always thought, and everybody that I talk to, like we're chasing after this, like, well, when I have this many clients, or when I make this amount of money, or when I have this amount saved up, then I'll feel comfortable. I'll tell you, all of those things can happen and you still won't feel comfortable. You're still going to be scared. You're still going to be nervous. You're still going to be like, oh my gosh, is this the right decision? And that's okay. It's just because, like I said before, you're leaving that consistency. But the beauty lies in that your business can become so much greater and you can make such a bigger impact on whoever you want, however you want, and on your own terms. So that's a little side note, just something to think about. But today I'm going to give you 5 tips or 5 things to think about as you're working a full-time job and building your business. Okay. And like I said, these 5 tips are essentially going to create more time for you to focus on your business. And I'm coming at this with the assumption that you are working to tip the scales so that your business can become your full-time job and you can leave that 9-to-5. Again, if that's not you, if that doesn't describe you, if you're not planning on leaving your 9-to-5 or your teaching job, that's okay too. These things will still help you to maintain a little bit more balance in your life so you're not feeling like completely overwhelmed, because oh my goodness, like we have enough stuff on our plates as it is. There's so much going on and we all wear so many hats. We have so many roles in life where we take care of so many different people. It can feel like a lot. And of course, if you're building a business and you're working full time, it's a lot. It's a lot, but I'm going to give you those 5 tips today. And so you're going to walk away today with some things that you can actually walk away and try and start to think about and start to implement so that it feels a little bit easier, feels a little bit better, feels a little bit more manageable. And then you just keep building on that. Okay. Sounds good. All right. So number 1, first thing you're going to want to do is to break things down into super, super small pieces. So like teeny, teeny, tiny pieces. Now, when I say super small pieces, I'm talking about in your business. So you probably have this really, really insanely beautiful vision for your business, all of these things that you want to build and all of these things that you want to do and all the things that you want to create and you want to produce and you want to connect. However, when we think about all of those things all at once, it can feel really overwhelming. You know that. So what I suggest is that you break these bigger things into really, really tiny pieces, not even small pieces, like tiny, tiny pieces. So let's just say, let me give you an example. So let's just say you are wanting to create some sort of opt-in for your business. Perfect. Great. Instead of saying to yourself, okay, I'm going to create this opt-in, you're going to actually break that task down into tiny, tiny pieces. Like I'm talking so tiny, like number 1, open up your computer. Number 2, open up Google Drive. Number 3, create a Google Doc. Number 4, start typing the copy. Number 5, edit the copy. Number 6, find the images. You go through this list and you completely break everything down into teeny, teeny, tiny pieces. And this is going to do a couple things for you. This is going to be good for a couple reasons. Number 1, I'm gonna guess that if you're working a full-time job and you're building your business, you probably don't have huge chunks of time to sit down and work on your business, right? So by breaking it down into tiny little pieces, you can work in those pockets of time. So like opening up your computer and creating a Google Doc, that is a 5-minute like activity, maybe a 2-minute activity. And although it's not ideal to be working in pockets of time, it's absolutely possible. I know how it can feel like you don't have enough time to accomplish everything, but by breaking it down into these teeny, teeny, tiny little pieces, you're going to feel more successful, right? You're going to feel like you've accomplished more, and you're able to put these little tiny pieces into the pockets of time throughout the day that you do have. And this kind of ties into the second thing. And this is something that will literally help save you some time and create time for you in your business. And this is something that I work with all of my clients on basically, and it's something that we all need to work on all the time. And it's thinking about what you're doing before you sit down. So knowing exactly what you're going to work on before you sit down and open up your computer or before you have that work time. Because I know exactly what happens, okay? I know what you do. You sit down, you go, okay, perfect. I've got my work time here. I'm going to go ahead and open up my computer. Then your brain goes, okay, what do I need to do? I need to create that opt-in. I need to send that email. I need to follow up with that client. I need to create that social media post. I need to reach out to that person. And then your brain kind of starts it's like a pinball machine, right? Going all over the place. Like, oh, what should I do first? And then let me open a tab here and start that. And then let me open a tab here and start this. And then by the end of that time, you really haven't accomplished anything. And you feel kind of down because you're like, I didn't actually get anything done. And there's all these open loops that are still like going on and still things that I need to get done. And I that's where the overwhelmed feeling comes in. So if you can sit down, if you can take your tiny list and sit down and decide whether it's the evening before or the day before, or maybe just set aside some time to look and be like, okay, maybe it's at the end of your work time, you look and say, okay, my next work time is tomorrow. Here's what I'm going to work on next. This is the next piece of the puzzle here. So your brain actually doesn't have to think about what to do when you sit down. You know what you're going to do. You know what needs to get done. And then you can get right to it by staying laser focused on that tiny task. Okay. So the first number one is breaking things down into super, super teeny, tiny, small pieces. And then celebrating and checking those things off the list as you do them and feeling that accomplishment, feeling that like progress forward and that momentum as you get things done. And you get the things that you want to get done, right? Because they're on that teeny tiny list. It's not, again, sitting down and going, well, maybe I should do this and maybe I should do this and let me open my tab and let me do this. It's so laser focused, right? And the other piece of this too is deciding what you're going to work on before you sit down. So you may, like we talked about, you may be working in pockets of time. You may have these just small 10 minutes here, 20 minutes here, 30 minutes there. You may have those small chunks of time to do your business in. That's okay. I want you to know that it is totally possible to do it like that. It's not ideal, but it is possible if you can put your mind to it and you can stay really focused on these tiny tasks and stay in it, right? When I did this too, it was the same thing. I was working in those pockets of time wherever I could find them, whenever I could find them. My boys were young at the time. They were 5 and 7, but I did it. And that's what allowed me to feel confident enough that I was able to leave that teaching job and I was able to walk away from that because I had built this business in those pockets of time. So it's possible and you can do it. So no more excuses. Make the teeny tiny list of all the teeny tiny things, like break every single task down so small, so tiny that it feels ridiculous. And then that's what you focus on during your work time. And this is something too that I work with my clients on, is figuring out like, well, what is it that I should be doing that actually moves the needle forward, right? What are those things? You got to get really, really clear about those things that need to get done that are going to actually start to put money in the account, money in your bank account, in your business bank account, so that you start to, again, feel that momentum, okay? So that's number one. Number 2 is take a look at where your time is actually going. Okay, so I'm going to have you do a time audit. A time audit is where you actually get really, really picky and you dig really, really deep and you see, well, you don't actually dig really deep. You're just going to see where your time is going. So you're going to keep, if you want to do this for a day or even sometimes it's helpful to even do it for an hour of time and you'll notice like, oh, I'm doing a lot of things that probably aren't actually moving the needle forward. If you want to go above and beyond and do it for a whole week, a time audit is basically where you just write down what you did in your blocks of time. And what I usually notice and what my clients usually notice is that when they track their time like this, they'll see that they're doing things for a certain amount of time that aren't actually productive. And not that you need to be productive all the time. I do not mean that at all, but that aren't actually beneficial to what they're trying to accomplish. And again, not that you always have to be doing something beneficial, but they're noticing that this just allows you to notice space in your day and time in your day that you would like to use differently. That's exactly what it is. So, and I'll do a time audit every once in a while because we're creatures of habit, right? Like we get into our routines and we do the same things over and over. So like I had a client the other day who did this and she was like, okay, things that really surprised me. I was spending 10 minutes in the morning just like going through my emails and like unsubscribing to emails and like reading my emails for the day. Okay, that's fine. Like, and yes, emails like need to get read and replied to, but the way that she was doing it was kind of in like a casual, like, let me just scroll through my emails. So there's 10 minutes right there. She also found that she was spending 15 minutes at some point in her day just scrolling through Facebook and Instagram. Okay, who else is guilty of this? I know I am. Facebook and Instagram and the scroll and the TikTok, all that stuff. That is 15 minutes of time that you essentially could be using somewhere else. And if you think about that, so that's 10 minutes and 15 minutes, that's 25 minutes. What could you get done in 25 minutes? I'm going to bet that you could probably get quite a few things off your teeny tiny list done in 25 minutes if you think about it like that. And again, I don't want to say don't scroll or don't, check your emails or whatever, but is that the best use of your time? And are those things going to get you where you want to be? And you can decide, okay, I don't actually want to be scrolling. I want to be building my business. I want to be working so that I can leave this 9-to-5 job and I can go full time in my business. And in order to do that, we have to notice where your time is going. So I'm going to encourage you to do a time audit and figure out where there are times in your day or what activities you're doing that are not actually productive. And again, not that you have to be productive all the time, but how could you use that time differently to really push forward and to gain that momentum? And this number 3 kind of goes with number 2, like where is your time going? But this one is a little bit different in that what can you delegate? So what can you take off of your plate? And every time I say this to clients, I always, without fail, get pushback on this because we feel like everything that we do is so important. And there is nothing that we can take off our plate and everything will crumble and fall apart if I don't do this or if I don't do that or if I'm not the one taking care of that, then it's just going to be the end of the world. I'm here to tell you that it's actually not. It's not. So take a deep breath and think about what you can do, what you can take off your plate. And when I did this with my own coach, so let me tell you a little story time here. I said the same thing. I was like, everything I do is important. I can't, there's nothing that I can't not do. I have to do all these things or else, the house is going to fall apart and the business is going to fall apart and everything's going to fall apart. And she was like, look, the first thing that we look at to let go of are like the household things. Like, what are you doing in your house that you could delegate, that you could say, or that you could have somebody else do? And I've talked about this before. Like, I'm like, oh, yeah, you're right. Like, my kids are almost 10 and 7. They can do a lot of these things that I'm doing. They can clean the bathroom. They can take the trash cans out. They can, do all these little things that I'm like, oh, I got to do all these things. No, they can do them. What can your partner do to kind of help out and contribute? There are probably a lot of things that you can take off your plate that you don't realize. So be really honest with yourself. And then she actually had me pull up my calendar and show her my calendar. And she's like, let's look and see like where you have time or what you can take off your plate. And I was like, okay. So I open up my Google Calendar and she's like, oh, look here. On Tuesday and Wednesday, your husband is off. So he can, why do you have pick up the boys from school on your calendar? And I'm like, well, that's why I quit my 9-to-5 job, because I wanted to drop my boys off at school and I really want to pick them up and I really want to be present. And she kind of like looks at me and she's like, okay, but like, don't you want to grow your business too? And I'm like, yes. And she goes, well, then you need time to do this. And this is something that you can literally take off your plate. And I dug my heels in and I was like, no, I want to be, I want to be there. I want to be present, whatever. And she looks at me and she goes, do you even want to do that? Like, is that something fun for you? Do you enjoy that? And I'm like, if I'm being honest, like, no, not really. Like, I don't really love the, the pickup line and the chitty chatty with all the PTA moms and all that stuff. Like, it's not my favorite thing. Like, I guess I could do without it. And she goes, okay, perfect. So sit down. Talk to your husband, talk to your boys, let them know that on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, Dad will be picking them up from school. What do you think they're going to say? And I kind of laughed because I was like, they're literally not going to care. Like, they're not going to care one bit. And guess what? When I sat down and had the conversation with them, they didn't care. They looked at me like, why are you even telling us this? Okay, cool, whatever, Mom. But that essentially gave me 30 more minutes of time to work on my business. So number 3, delegate at home, delegate household chores, any of that domestic stuff, anything that you're doing that you could possibly take off your plate, take it off your plate right now. And take that time and move it. Again, it's all about how we use our time, right? What are our priorities? What is important to you? And how important is it to you to build this business in order to leave that job or not, whatever situation you're in, it's all good. But how important is it to you to build the business and to grow it and to gain that momentum? If it's that important to you, then you're going to sit down and have a come to Jesus moment with yourself and be like, I don't need to be doing this stuff. There is stuff that I'm doing that I just don't need to be doing and that I simply can just ask for help. I can delegate it out. I can just completely stop doing it altogether, right? Like, there's so many things that we're like, it's not actually that important. Okay, so that's number 3. Number 4. Okay, this is one that I did when I was still teaching and building my business. So number 4 is lock your door, turn the lights off, and hide. I literally would do this. So after my contracted hours, I would lock my classroom door, I would turn the lights off, and I would go sit on the floor where you couldn't see me if you're looking in the window. If somebody's peeking in the window, you couldn't see me. This sounds kind of crazy now that I'm saying it out loud like this, but trust me, it worked. I knew that if I got in my car and went home, I wasn't going to get any work done. So I ended up staying at school and I did the stuff from my teeny tiny list. Okay. I was really clear about what needed to get done. I was really clear about what targets I was trying to hit and where I needed to be by when. So I knew what I needed to get done. And if I went home, I wasn't going to get it done because I was going to be with the kids. The laundry was going to be, all that stuff that we just talked about that I don't actually need to do. So I blocked a chunk of time and I would sit there and I would hide. And by hiding that, what that did is it discouraged like the chitty chatty, because I love socializing with my teacher friends, with my girlfriends. I love all that stuff. So if the door wasn't locked and the lights were on and I wasn't hiding, people would continuously come in and be like, hey, oh my gosh, and the whole thing, just chitty chatty. I didn't want that. I wanted to focus. Well, not that I didn't want it. I just wanted the business more. I wanted to focus more on the business. So I locked the door, turned the lights off, and I hid. Sometimes I do this at home too. It's not as easy, when you have kids and you're like, okay, I'm going to go hide in my room and like lock the door. Not always easy, but it's possible. You just have to let the guilt go, right? We carry so much guilt around with us all day, every day, and it's so purposeless. Like there's no purpose to carrying that guilt. So if I say like, I need 20 minutes, I'm going in the bedroom or the office or the bathroom. I've done that before too. I've literally hidden in the bathroom. I just need to get this one thing done and I really need to focus on it. And I've had this conversation with my kids too. Like, I need 20 minutes to accomplish this thing in order to grow the business. And we all contribute in this family. And by you giving me that 20 minutes of time to grow the business and to have the opportunity to make more money, which essentially gives us more freedom and more opportunity, that's your contribution today, is to give me 20 minutes to go entertain yourself, do something else, and let me be. There's nothing to feel guilty about in that. Nothing at all. But I know that we feel guilty a lot about things like that, that's a whole nother podcast episode. Okay, back to the topic. Okay, so number 5, last one here, is become the bare minimum in certain aspects of your life. So for me, I was teaching, and what I did, and when I say this, it kind of sounds bad, but it wasn't bad. It wasn't a bad thing. So I became what I like to call a bare minimum teacher. You can fill in the blank with whatever your 9-to-5 job is there with teacher, just the bare minimum. So I decided that my business was going to be more important than my teaching job. It wasn't always like that. It wasn't like that until I realized, oh, I'm going to leave teaching. And then I realized, okay, if I am going to build this business, I'm going to have to really pull back in certain areas, just like we talked about. What can I take off my plate? And for me, that was being the bare minimum. And I spent a full decade plus some of my life being like the above and beyond teacher, being that teacher that just does the crazy, room transformations and has these amazing experiences with all of those things. And I am not saying there's anything wrong with that. I enjoyed it. It was fun. My students had a great time. But in this next chapter of my life, I was like, that's not me anymore. I'm going to be the bare minimum teacher. I'm going to do the bare minimum to get by and still do my job and do it well. And, it's not like I don't know, what do they call that? There was some sort of thing going around, like quiet quitting. It wasn't like that. I was still doing my job. I was still doing what I needed to do, and I was doing it effectively, but I was just doing the bare minimum. So I was coming at contract hours. I was leaving at contract hours. I wasn't taking anything home with me on the weekend anymore. And shocker, nothing burned down, nothing crumbled. Everybody was just fine. Again, it goes back to that thing of like, I have to do everything. I have to do it all. It has to get done now or else everything is going to fall apart. It actually doesn't. This is a reminder for you. And really for me, so if you taught through COVID too, COVID taught us a lot of things. And one thing that I walked away from COVID with was that you don't need a lot to be a really good teacher, to be an effective teacher. All you really needed was classroom management. You needed solid instructional practices, and then maybe like a whiteboard and a dry erase marker. Like you just needed those things. And the kids were going to learn, the kids were going to progress, the kids were going to even know that they were loved, right? Like you don't need a lot. Like you don't need all of the fluff. But don't get me wrong. I love the fluff. Like I loved all of that stuff. So, but in this phase, when I was like, okay, business is more important, it was bare minimum. So what does bare minimum for you look like? What does that look like in your current situation? What can you pull off your plate? What can you say goodbye to? What can you leave behind in order to shift your time and shift your energy and shift your focus? Because really there's only so much energy that you have and so much time that you have during the day. So you have to make the most of what you have. And I believe that you can do anything you want to do. I just don't believe that you can do it all at the same time. So it's this give and take and this, flow of like, how can I pull back in certain areas to make this what I want it to be, to grow this into exactly what I vision, into this big, beautiful dream I'm going to have to give up some things. I'm going to have to sacrifice some things in the beginning here. And I'm okay with that. And I know that you probably are too, because you've been listening to this for almost 27, 28 minutes now. And hopefully, my hope for you is for you to realize that whatever you want is so possible. You're working that 9 to 5, and maybe you want to leave that 9 to 5 job. Maybe you're ready to leave that teaching job. Maybe you're like, okay, I'm out. I'm done. Like, I am ready. The school year is this is it for me. These are just small ways that you can start to better use your time, use the time that you do have, and for you to also to light that fire underneath you and let you know that it's possible. Whatever it is that you want from your business, whether it is to, grow it and leave your 9 to 5 or not, it's all possible. And I hope that these tips today, these 5 tips, will help you do exactly that. So a quick recap. Number 1 is to break things down into super small, teeny tiny little pieces. Make that teeny tiny list and then decide what you're going to work on before you start working on it. Number 2 is to do a time audit and take a look at where your time is actually going and what activities are you partaking in that maybe you could shift and do something else a little bit more useful or more beneficial for the overall goal in your schedule. Number 3 is delegate anything that you can at home, at work, anywhere, and just start to take stuff off of your plate. And you got to be really honest with yourself here. What is it that you're doing that maybe you don't really need to do anymore? Number 4 is lock your door, turn the lights off, and hide if you need to. There's no shame in this. There's no guilt in this. It's all good. We do what we got to do. It's fine. And number 5 is become the bare minimum in certain aspects of your life. So where can you start to pull back in one area and push in another area? Now, if you are working, like I said, on building your business and leaving your 9 to 5, I am all here for it. And if you need a little bit of extra support, or if you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so overwhelmed, this seems impossible, I don't even know what I should be doing with my time, please feel free to reach out. This is my sweet spot. I love working with women who have started their business, who are in it, and who are like, okay, I'm ready to take this thing bigger and bigger than I can even imagine in this moment. I help them move into the space where they're like, this is freaking possible. I'm doing it. I did it. And it's better than I even imagined on the other side. So please reach out. And if you enjoyed this episode, please consider leaving a review. It takes just a second. Just tap the stars. It means the world to me. I appreciate every single review. And if you want to even go in and type something that you learned, would love that even more. I read all of them, and you are the reason that I do this podcast. It's to connect with people, with women like you who are doing truly amazing things. So until next time, lock your door, turn off your lights, and hide. Okay, bye you guys. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of Beyond the Classroom. If you know something has to change and you're ready to take the next step to make it happen, whether it's in or out of the classroom, let's talk it through together. Schedule a no-obligation chat with me and we can talk through where you're stuck, how to get you unstuck, and how to keep you moving forward. Schedule your free call today by clicking the link in the show notes. I can't wait to connect with you.